Van Helsing versus Dracula's daughter, issue number 1 from Zenescope. So, yeah, comic book review. Long story short, I don't have enough time to do a manga spotlight, but I do have enough time to do a quick comic book review, so that's what we're doing. This issue is actually somewhat old. Old in the sense that this came out in like August. Issue 4 just came out recently, and this is part 1 of 5. That's usually how it goes for Zenescope. They usually don't have annuals except for the Grimm fairy tales, but all their like specific characters like Van Helsing, Robin Hood, Mystery, and then Belle, like characters like that are always 5 to 6 issue miniseries, sometimes 4. The only thing that's actually like ongoing is the Grimm fairy tales, which usually like introduces some of these characters. My favorites of the characters I would say is Mercy Dante from the Inferno series. So Zenescope, if you're watching this, please do me a solid and make a new Mercy Dante. I'm also a huge fan of Van Helsing. Robin Hood's pretty cool too. I like her as well. I like a lot of the Zenescope characters. Pretty badass female leads. So we start off with who I'm assuming is not Dante, is Dracula's daughter, and she basically breaks into Van Helsing's secret vault where she keeps all her artifacts, and we see some artifacts from like previous series. So she can steal her dad's bones. I guess she wants to steal it so she can bring him back. And then we have this character. Oh, I'm blanking on her name. She's basically Liesel Van Helsing. It's like, I don't want to say sidekick, but she kind of helps her out and stuff like that. So I thought this was kind of, I don't know, interesting in the sense that like we have her talking, and it kind of confused me for a moment. I was like, who the hell is she talking to? There's no one here. And I guess you can see a little tiny earpiece here, so I guess that's who she's talking to. But I think it would have been better if the artist had done just a better job of showcasing that she's not just blathering to nobody, she's actually speaking to someone. I know there's the little earbud, but I don't know. I don't have one of those earpieces, but I'm assuming isn't there like a little tiny mic attached to it as well, which you don't see here. It's just, I'm kind of rambling on this, but it's just a little something that just kind of annoyed me, where I was like, who's she talking to? Is she talking to someone? Is she talking to Dracula's daughter? Like, okay, she's talking to Leslie, but where's Leslie? Is Leslie watching her on the monitor? Is that what this is? And then, yeah, we never see Leslie until later on, so I was like, okay, I guess she's talking on an earpiece, but I'm kind of rambling on that. Anyways, 2 weeks pass, and we get our titillating character, Liesel Van Helsing, and I like her outfit. I will just say, is it very practical? Not really. And I know it's like a comic book. You don't have to really be practical with this kind of stuff. It's just, I always kind of like look at some of these characters, and maybe this is just me, but I'm like, would these characters be able to walk down the street without turning a bunch of heads? It's like, no. I mean, if you kind of walked around the street looking like this, people would be thinking like, what the hell's going on with you? I don't know. Some people might disagree. I know there's like, I'm not saying I'm one of those people where I like costumes to be like very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like under the radar, very like completely practical and stuff like that. Like, I'm all for like, you know, a bit of fan service. I don't know if I would really say this is fan service. I guess maybe because she's showing off her legs and stuff like that. Kind of this part right here at least gives me a bit of the blood rain. But I don't know, maybe pants, especially since you're a vampire hunter mostly. I mean, you fight other demons, but vampires are kind of what you stick to, which means you're going to be fighting a lot at night. Do you really want to be wearing fishnet stockings when you're fighting vampires? Wouldn't you kind of want to, you know, maybe like all leather? I mean, it'll still be sexy, but then maybe like, you know, leather would be a lot harder for vampires to sink their teeth into. Plus, you wouldn't be freezing your legs off when you're out, you know, in the night fighting creatures of the dark. But whatever. Like, I like her. I mean, I like her get up. I'm just, this is just me kind of just rambling and stuff like that. But she basically makes short work of these creatures, and I will say that the art's not that bad. Zenescope, as much as I love them, and I do, they're basically, I'll probably say, my favorite publisher at the moment. My favorite ongoing publisher. My favorite publisher of all time, I would probably have to give it to Chaos Comics. I loved a lot of their old characters, especially Chastity, which I need to get back into. I need to catch up on her current series. But yeah, I could just see maybe pants like this, because even this would like really stand out if I saw someone walking down the street looking like that. Yeah, I mean, basically, there's no character, which is, I guess, it's fine, whatever. I'm not like, this isn't like mean. I guess this is mean nitpicking, but I'm not like, this wouldn't be like a con. Like, I'm not like, if I was grading this, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm taking points because she's too sexy. I'm not one of those people. I don't know why I keep rambling on this. So she basically finds the journal of her mother, and I'm going to be skipping even more pages. But yeah, I don't really know too much about her mom. To be honest, I kind of jumped into Van Helsing somewhat late. I think the very first thing I picked up with Van Helsing was Van Helsing versus Werewolves. I did a review on that, but I think that was my very first foray into Van Helsing. I know there's like a bunch of other volumes and stuff like that I haven't got a chance to read yet. But we're going to skip. And we're going to talk about Jonathan Harker and his fiancée. Speaking of fan service, I will just show that. That's pretty... It seems out of place, but it actually plays a huge part. Let's just say that, as you know, Van Helsing fights vampires, and she's currently... Would I say bathing because she has all her clothes on? She's currently taking a late-night dip into a pool of holy water on consecrated grounds. I'm sure you guys can guess where that's going to come into play. But yeah, we have Jonathan Harker, who's from the original Dracula novel, and his I don't know if did they say it was wife or is it fiance Mina. Honeymoon, yeah. So it's his wife Mina. So this part right here kind of confused me a bit. So okay, we have this character sobbing. Obviously, it's a trap, right? I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that this is Dracula's daughter. Yeah, this is Dracula's daughter. So they go to help her because she's fake crying. And then this robber shows up and pulls a gun on them. And then we have this scene right here. These two panels. So this confused me real quick because from when I was like, did they just kill off Jonathan Harker like just like that? And it's like, no, she's attacking the robber. But just you go from this panel right here where like she's kind of shoving them. Looks like she's kind of, knocking them out of the way. And then the very next scene is this. I get this part right here is like the hoodie, but maybe don't silhouette this or maybe draw this in a different way so that we can actually see them like her really shoving this guy out of the way and like rushing towards this dude. Because for a moment, like even like the hair, like you look at this face right here and this hairstyle, it matches Jonathan Harker's. And like we never see the robber's face. We just he has a hoodie. So maybe give the robber like either make him like a different nationality, make his hair longer, give him a beard. You can be cliche and give him like a mohawk and some piercings or something. Just something so he stands out from Jonathan Harker. Because like you look at this, and just briefly it looks like, okay, she chopped off his head's going flying. That's Jonathan Harker's head. It's like, no, this guy just happens to look almost exactly like Jonathan Harker without glasses. So yeah, like that just it took me just a while. Maybe I'm just slow in the head, but like I was reading, I was like, oh shit, they just killed Jonathan Harker, and then I had to like look over it again. I was like, oh no, wait, I think that's just a robber because the robber is not in the next panel, like the final page. Like we don't see the robber like standing because I thought the robber was teaming up with Dracula's daughter. because that's the way like it looked. It looked like basically she was like luring them in, and then he was going to come up behind them and attack them, or basically hold them at gunpoint, and that they were like working together as a team. But no, it was just some random robber who was at the wrong place at the wrong time. So it's I don't know, stuff like that. Like just just do some kind of change, whether it's you change the appearance of the robber in some way, or you change the appearance of the panel of her knocking the two out of the way. Just something so that it's a lot more clearer what's going on. That's one problem with Zenescope. I love them, but some of their action scenes are kind of I don't know, maybe it's just because I read a lot of manga, which will literally dedicate multiple chapters to one fight scene, whereas comic books will maybe dedicate a page or two, if. So they kind of do a lot of shortcuts. But sometimes, like, especially with Zenescope, I'm kind of not following what exactly is going on when action scenes happens. It doesn't happen like often, but it happens enough that I have to start getting used to it when I'm reading Zenescope. But other than that, I like the story so far. I always like to say Zenescope is basically the popcorn flick of comic books. They're not going to be writing any Oscar award-winning stories, but if you're just looking for some good action entertainment with some badass female leads, not bad female leads, badass female leads, because their female leads are actually pretty cool. I like them. Then female leads that are sexy, badass, and aren't constantly undercutting men like in Marvel comics and some DC comics, then yeah, definitely check out Zenescope. If you like demon slaying stories, which is like really up there for me, like that's maybe one of my favorite genres. Like I just love like stories about like a hunter that goes out hunting demons and monsters and things like that. They're just something that always clicks with me with that. Then definitely check out Van Helsing. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Yeah, it's interesting to be back into doing a comic book review. I'll be honest with you guys. I literally have a stack of comics about, I mean, you guys can't see, basically about as tall as this comic is. I got a stack just of comic books that I really need to catch up on. I'll be honest with you guys, I've just been losing interest in comics just because it's really hard to find good stuff, and even the good stuff can kind of get dragged down by like just social politics and stuff that don't really need to be in there. Meanwhile, like manga is just like knocking it out of the park. Like I can read a manga and manga is like more creative. Like they just do like crazy shit that's just hilarious and awesome. Whereas comic books, it's either pushing an agenda or they're very safe or just like stuff that I've seen before. Meanwhile, manga, you'll have like a story of like a weeb dating a gorilla. Like no joke. Like it's just crazy stuff. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, I have other channels. I'll put down information down below. But I hope you guys have a good one. See you next time.